featuring Ryan Bogle and David Harvey.
Hi kids, how are you today? David Harvey, how do you think everyone's doing? Pretty good, me too. I think that. I like it. See, we're not doing much right now. We're having a good time. Me and my good associate David Harvey are just talking about things and stuff. David Harvey, what do you think about the things and the stuff we are talking about?
I think it's totally over our audience's head.
Oh, you see, you always just want to chastise our audience.
May I have a cigarette?
No, obviously there's only one here, and I'm going to smoke it. And I do not like sharing. What do you think about sharing? Do you like sharing? I don't like sharing.
I like sharing other people's things.
But not your own things.
No.
So you're a selfish asshole.
Sticks and stones can break my bones, but you can never hurt me.
Do you have any sticks and or stones I could borrow?
They're out in the yard, but they're all very expensive and very old.
David Harvey, have you ever thought of looking that direction? And this is the moment, kids, when David Harvey realizes a cigarette is being given to him by the cameraman.
Reefer madness.
You know, what do you think about cameramen giving cigarettes to the people they're frickin' recording? I think that is un-American, and this is why communist, socialism, bureaucratic unicornism is taking over this country, and that is uncalled for.
I agree with you, and I also think that it's against union
what the
rules.
heck did I just say?
Well, you said basically what I just said. It's against union rules.
Unicorns are evil.
Yeah, unicorns are evil. Thanks.
Here's some fire.
Oh.
Look into the fire. Yeah, now look into it.
I can only go so far.
Did I ever tell you the time I ran into a unicorn on a dark and rainy night?
You did, but tell me again.
Well, it was rather a bloody affair, let me tell you that. There are no children around, are there? Well, it all started, I'd been over at my aunt's house, and she had been telling me these spooky stories about the unicorns out there in the darkness. And I said, well, it's time for me to go home, and I left, and I lived about a mile away, and I was walking home, and I came upon a unicorn.
Ah!
Well, it wasn't that frightening, really. It was the horn that did it. You know, I thought it was just a horse, and they had this goddamn horn.
Gosh darn horn.
Gosh darn horn. And couldn't talk to him.
The unicorn coach?
No, he couldn't. I talked to him for about an hour and a half, and he never really answered me. I thought he was
terrifying.
Well, after an hour and a half, yeah. I mean, I said, don't you have something to say? And he just snorted.
Oh my gosh!
And his hoof, you know.
I am not going to sleep tonight. This story is awful.
Pretty startling, you know. And I thought, did you just come out on rainy nights? Yeah, I'd ask him questions like that, and he just looked at me.
That is unsettling. Let me tell you a scary story.
Yeah. I hope it's scarier than this one. This.
I had a good friend back in my college days. You know, he was a party animal, and he was crazy, and I didn't really trust him, but we got along well enough, and, you know, I had been single for quite a few years, and he's like, I got this girl you would love, and I'm like, alright, you know, whatever. I don't much like blind dates. The one blind date I was on, you know, I was raped and turned into an apricot, but that's another story. And so I go on this blind date, and I sit down at the restaurant, and it was a really nice restaurant. They served seafood and asparagus, and there were waiters named Steve to help you with your every need. And I sit down.
But if there were more than one waiter named Steve, that must have been very confusing. You say, oh, Steve, and then
that was part of the terror. Actually.
Oh, I see.
There was Steves everywhere.
Yes.
Everywhere Steves. There was nothing you could do, no matter what you needed. Steve got it for you. Anyway, I know that's not even the scariest part. So I sit down at my table, and it's reserved for Ryan and blind date, and that was for like, oh my gosh, I felt so single now. And I'm sitting across, and I'm sitting in my chair, and I'm waiting, and I drank 3 or 7 pints of wine, and I'm waiting, looking across the table at this empty chair, and the chair says to me, well, are you going to introduce yourself? And I jumped out, and I ran. I went and swam a marathon. I got 14th place out of 75. I came back. And the chair was like, well, it took you long enough. Aren't we going to have this date? And I'm like, but you're a chair. And then it ate me. It was not a good blind date.
Well, it would have been rather interesting up until the time you were eaten. What's it like to be eaten by a chair?
It's not pleasant. I don't recommend it, really.
Well, how would a chair go about eating?
With its chair mouth, as we call it in the industry.
Did it attack you like the four legs on top of your head? Did it eat you head first?
No, it sort of did this dance, and then it sang Hakuna Matata, and I started singing along, and then when I least expected it, it just sort of folded in.
Oh, it was a folding chair. Oh, those
No,
are
it wasn't. That was the trickery.
Oh,
Why do you think it was so effing frightening?
Well, I don't know, a folding chair, you know, that
like it looked
you gotta
like a
watch those.
sturdy restaurant chair,
Right.
and suddenly like, it's folding!
And then Steve came over, or his brother.
There were no Steves to be found. That was even more terrifying. Like, where'd all the
You're all
Steves
alone
go?
in a
Because
restaurant.
you know you're in trouble when the Steves disappeared. Like, there were Steves everywhere, and suddenly, like, where Steve
Right,
was,
right.
there was just this tumbleweed. Like, Steve! Like, oh my gosh. It's
I
you're
had
the
that
first person I've ever told this story
Well,
to.
I've had that happen before. It's odd that you would tell me because I've had that happen before.
You've had
A
Steve's
whole
disappear
restaurant, a whole restaurant full of folding chairs, and they started to march around the room. And then it was
they
like,
always sing awful songs like, "Oh Susanna, don't you cry for me."
yeah, but they couldn't
Come
clap.
from
They
Louisiana
couldn't
with
clap.
a banjo
They could march,
and
but they couldn't clap. There was nothing to clap with, really, because they were too busy.
And kids, if you didn't know, "Oh Susanna, don't you cry for me" is the theme song of Murderous Chairs. You hear that song, you run. Don't sit on anything.
Yes, it might just fold up, and then when it has you on the ground, it
It could be a
engulfs
chair, a rock, a human, an elephant,
you. Right.
like a record player. Chairs can transform into anything. They are vicious, vicious creatures. They are out to destroy humanity. Don't trust. Oh my gosh, I'm sitting on one!